You are listening to the Advocates of Aging podcast. This podcast is produced by the ABA Commission on Law and Aging. Listen to hear interviews and stories on topics related to law and aging, including best practice tips for professionals and career advice. Age is not just a number, it is an opportunity for growth and fulfillment. These episodes will explore the hurdles people face when aging, as well as opportunities for improving advocacy and strengthening the legal rights of others. Hi, my name is Erica Costello, and along with me is Jessica Brock, and we are with the American Bar Association's Commission on Law and Aging. You are listening to our Advocates of Aging podcast. Today we have with us Dominique and Anna. Dominique Sanz-David has been an elder justice attorney with Bet Tzedek for 15 years, providing direct and self-help services to low-income, older, and vulnerable clients and their caregivers in areas of elder abuse, estate planning, conservatorships, and probate. Through legal and legislative advocacy, community partnerships, and education, she develops and promotes policies that protect vulnerable Angelenos while preserving self-determination. In her pursuit to increase access to justice, Dominique co-created Bet Tzedek's elder abuse program, Decedents Estate Clinic, and estate planning practice. Prior to Bet Tzedek, Dominique worked for the San Francisco Superior Court. Dominique earned her degrees from Pomona College and UC Law San Francisco. Anna Darr has been an elder justice and Holocaust survivor services attorney at Bet Tzedek Legal Services in Los Angeles for 9 years. Her work involves an array of elder law and poverty law issues with a focus on estate planning and planning for incapacity and end of life. She works with clients to draft planning documents, including advanced healthcare directives, powers of attorney, and wills and trusts. Anna also presents on these topics to community members and professionals, highlighting the integration of person-centered trauma-informed care. Anna co-created Bet Tzedek's Decedents Estates Clinic in partnership with the Los Angeles Superior Court and continues to pursue equal access to justice for underserved, vulnerable communities through advocacy and community partnerships. Before joining Bet Tzedek, Anna worked in civil litigation. She received her undergraduate degree in political science from SUNY Purchase and her law degree from Southwestern Law School. So thank you so much for both of you attending our podcast today. We have National Estate Planning Awareness Week coming up, October 21st through the 27th. So with that in mind, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career? So how did you end up where you are now?
Sure, I can hop in. We love talking about estate planning, so it's a good time for us to be here. So we both work for Bet Tzedek, right? And we started this program called Leaving a Legacy. It's a program that's funded by the DCBA, and it really has a focus on helping low-income Angelenos in underserved communities who have traditionally not had access to planning, to help them do estate planning with this sort of bigger goal of building and maintaining intergenerational wealth, because there's all the statistics out there, right? Dying without an estate plan is one of the biggest contributors to this loss of intergenerational wealth in communities.
And, we'd done a lot of work around elder abuse in the past and conservatorship and real estate fraud. And so all of these issues that we were dealing with, we realized that if there had just been some estate planning, a lot of the emergencies could have been avoided and the litigation could have been avoided, and maybe there wouldn't have been a need for court intervention. So we realized that estate planning was really critical for helping our vulnerable communities.
Absolutely. And elder justice is obviously a really big thing that you can look at when you're looking at estate planning practices for older clients.
We both worked in elder justice in the bigger unit before, but we did sort of different things. I was in the Holocaust services team. And, I did all sort of the wraparound work for all our survivor clients, not the reparations, but everything else. And, so we worked on a lot of issues like benefits, SSI, Medi-Cal, all those things, but also advanced planning. And we started just screening everybody for advanced planning documents. Like, have you ever done this? Do you know what it is? And there's just a huge lack. Nobody had, and people were very elderly and had nothing in place. And it was just such an obvious need. And then with the change in Medi-Cal recovery in 2017, that was another big sort of a big change where in California in 2017 it changed so that if you so long as your estate doesn't go through probate, Medi-Cal does not recover. So especially for people who own a home, it was extremely important to get that home into a trust and save it for the next generation. So we were able to place some cases with pro bono attorneys, but we couldn't really do the work in-house. So it was just a very glaring need out there that we wanted to start working on.
Yeah, there were only maybe a couple of legal services organizations in the state that were doing estate planning for low-income clients. And our clients are typically, the way they look is like they own one house, um, and a car and a checking account and maybe a small savings, and that's it. And there's no money to hire an attorney. They're getting like $1,200 a month in Social Security, and that's it. So they really have no extra income to go hire an attorney and do their estate planning. And so, we felt like it was really important to help these people, and not just, leave estate planning for the wealthy.
You sort of touched on it, mentioning intergenerational wealth and the need for estate planning for low-income individuals. But what would you say are the most important issues right now in the practice area of estate planning?
For our clients, obviously it would be different for wealthier clients, but for our clients, it's a probate avoidance and Medi-Cal estate recovery avoidance, because there's no free help for probating. If you die without an estate plan and you own a home in California, it has to go through probate, and probate can be very expensive and time consuming. And people often, the heirs are living in the home. They're not selling the home, so they can't use the funds from the sale to go pay all the probate fees. So I think, avoiding probate and keeping as much wealth in the family as possible is sort of the most important issue. And then, of course, avoiding Medi-Cal estate claims, because there are a lot of ways for wealthy families to get Medi-Cal and avoid, any repayment issues.
Yeah, that's definitely the biggest things that we're looking at. And then there's the smaller things, right? Like having good planning documents in place can avoid so many other issues and so much family strife and disagreements. And even if you don't own a home, you can still plan without, having a full trust or anything, to make sure that your things go where you want them to go, because it's still important even if you don't own a home.
Absolutely. For both of you, Anna and Dominique, what is something that has surprised you about estate planning, this practice area, either personally or professionally?
We talked about this a little bit before, and I think for me, one thing that has been kind of a surprise is how sort of light and kind of almost fun it can be, right? To work with the family to figure out what to do and what kind of plan to put in place. It feels really good for people to get this done and to really think it through and feel comfortable about, what they're coming up with. So like we have clinics sometimes for just advanced healthcare directives, which you think would be sort of a dark, kind of a gloomy thing, right? You're sitting talking about end of life decisions and all these things. And there's it's shocking how much laughing happens, when people are just sitting around talking about like, oh, what would I want? I don't know. Let me, So that has been a kind of a sweet surprise. Like it's just it's a very it can be very lovely work.
And for me, I think it's been that each case is so different. I'm sure attorneys say this about every topic of law, right? But each case is so different, and there's always some sort of issue in each case where you're having to work it out, or there's some title issues you have to clear before you can even start the estate plan, or people don't even know how they own property. And so you do research and you're like, oh, surprise, it's already owned this way. Um, so that it's always interesting and it's always challenging,
And
especially, yeah.
that's one of the funny ones when we have a lot of volunteers, right? And like law clerks and things. And when they do an intake, everybody does it. They come back and they're like, oh, this one's a really simple one. And we're always like, well, now you just cursed. It's never simple, ever. So it's very true. They're all different.
So it sounds like expect the unexpected is a good philosophy to take if you're doing estate planning as an attorney. So it sounds like you guys have done a lot of exciting work. What are you working on right now that is the most exciting to you?
Well, we just actually had what was exciting to us, we had a convening of all the legal aid organizations in California that we had identified that now do this work. And there's more now than there was, because when we first started looking at it, we only could find one. But now we had a meeting, we worked on it with CANNER, California Advocates of Nursing Home Reform, and we got everybody, together on a Zoom call. I think there's 8 organizations, Tom, am I right? Something like it's around 8, which is great. And we all got together, and had a sort of a convening to talk about what we do, what we need, common issues. And we're going to try to sort of build this network, and hopefully inspire more organizations to do the work, and also just learn from each other, share resources, just make this more approachable, and make sure that we keep this trajectory of getting more and more help for low-income folks to get this kind of planning in place.
And then, we've also been invited to brainstorm and take part in discussions about heirs property. And the National Consumer Law Center is sort of spearheading this effort. And just for the listeners, heirs property, it is land that has passed down to family members through inheritance, often across multiple generations. And it's often marked by fractured ownership, or joint ownership, and clouded title. And so none of the heirs or people living in the home is actually entitled to the property. Everyone on the deed is dead. And it's, multiple generations, or even one, just not having done any estate planning. And the current heirs and, people living in the house don't get to take advantage of any of the benefits of home ownership, like tax relief or disaster relief, or getting equity out of the house, or getting, a better interest rate on the mortgage, or getting even homeowners insurance. If nobody's on title, a lot of insurance companies will just say, well, then I can't insure your house. So, estate planning has been identified as one of the best tools to prevent heirs property. And so we're excited to sort of be a part of that discussion.
Thank you so much for sharing information on that. What do you think right now, kind of looking ahead, like in the future, are the most pertinent issues in estate planning?
I mean, I think it's going to be the same that we have now. There's not enough providers to provide the services. So we hope, there needs to be more assistance for folk. And like Dominique was saying, right, with the issue of probate avoidance, there's no free help here, at least, and to get through a probate without, hiring an attorney or doing it by yourself. There's just no free services. So that's kind of the ongoing issue. It's just there needs to be more services. And well, I don't know, there's AB 2016 is coming, right? I don't know if that's going to change things much. It hasn't been implemented yet. So that's the new legislation that it'll be, it's kind of like a affidavit process, right? But it's to
It's like
pass a property.
Yeah, summary probate procedure.
Yeah, to pass a real property under $750,000 without doing a full probate. So that's one change that's coming, but we haven't seen really what the impact's going to be yet. But I think it's going to be a big impact for sure.
And I think for legal services, really, the most pertinent issue in estate planning is really economic and racial justice. How I read an article, I forget what it was called, but it was like, is estate planning even moral in this landscape where the rich just keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poor? And I was like, I agree. So we're trying to help that issue, and maybe as more legal services get involved and maybe as, policies change, it can be a more fair system.
Do you have any words of wisdom for attorneys in the field or new attorneys considering starting an estate planning practice?
One thing is it's kind of comes with is this a simple case? It's you have to be really comfortable in asking a lot of questions and being very nosy and very and keep digging for all the information before you move forward. I guess that's one word of wisdom that you'll learn quickly.
And I think it's important to have good mentors. There's so many potential issues. Like we don't deal with many of like the tax and the tax issues. There's a lot of them, but because our estates are very small, we don't have to. I think also I would say to law students, it's not as boring as it seems. Like I don't know, when I took wills and trusts, I thought this is the most boring thing I've ever seen. And now I'm excited by it. So it's really interesting, and you get to meet all the families.
I agree. I found estate planning way more exciting than I thought it would be. How can other legal service organizations work with low-income older adults on these issues? If they do some estate planning but want to expand or would like to start a project like yours, what would you recommend?
Well, for us, we had sort of a commitment from leadership early on to get to start doing the work before we even had, full funding for it. So it was great. So we could develop our practice, um, in our everyday work and then we found the funding, which was great. And like Dom said, we had great mentor attorneys. We had a couple of pro bono attorneys who were really crucial in helping us build and support the project. They helped us, review all our templates, talk through the processes. That was priceless, having good mentor attorneys on, to work with.
And it would be really nice if private attorneys would take pro bono cases from legal services,
Yes.
because they can just do like one trust a year. I don't know. It seems
A
pretty.
probate here and
Yeah,
there, right? Please.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you would like to share with our listeners about your career or your practice or just how excited you are for Estate Planning Week?
Always excited about estate planning. I don't think we really got into, we do have our decedents estate clinic that we run with in partnership with the court. It's a self-help clinic, but where people call in. So we see the other side a lot. Folks call in, a family member, somebody has passed away, and now I'm trying to XYZ, usually like deal with a bank account, a pension, um, remains, things like that. And we provide self-help assistance on those topics. But so a lot of our outreach and education work gets kind of, we take it from that experience because we see the common issues people call in with and how easily they could have been avoided by something small. Like I can't count the number of times we talk about beneficiary designations because that's such a big one that people just don't do. And then they are stuck dealing with, handling that after someone passes away. So that's something it's an interesting project.
You know what? I just realized that with the Decedents Estates Clinic, I'd get so many calls from people who had been together for like 30 years and weren't married, and there's a house. And then I said to my partner at the time, I was like, if I were you, I'd ask me to marry me because there could be a lot of potential problems because only I'm on title to the house and you're gonna get screwed. So, like it was from the Decedents Estates Clinic the reason why I got married.
That might be the only proposal ever based on estate planning.
I know.
Estate planning, bringing people together.
Right?
Well, we are so glad you took the time to join us and share your experience with us and our listeners. If you're interested in further information about estate planning or other topics, check out our podcast notes on the Commission for Law and Aging's website. You can also listen to this and other episodes by visiting the ABA Commission on Law and Aging's website and YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe to be sure to get updates. We look forward to having you join us for the next episode. In the meantime, keep on advocating for the legal rights of all.